Chairman Self, Ranking Member Keating, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss our work on the Bureau of Cyberspace and Digital Policy, known as CDP. As international trade, communication, and critical infrastructure grow more dependent on cyberspace and digital technology, there's an opportunity to advance U.S. interest in this digital ecosystem, but also an increase in foreign cyber threats. Foreign governments and non-state actors are increasingly using cyberspace as a platform to target critical infrastructure and our citizens, undermine democracies and international institutions, and undercut global competition by stealing ideas when they cannot create them. These are among the reasons that GAO has identified information security as a high-risk issue. In April 2022, state established CDP to lead U.S. government's international efforts to advance our interest in cyberspace, which state defines as cyber diplomacy. Its overarching objectives included building coalitions, strengthening capacity, and reinforcing norms in cyberspace. State uses two main tools to implement this cyber diplomacy mission: diplomatic engagement and leadership in multilateral and bilateral fora, and foreign assistance that provides training and technical assistance to our international partners. Examples of diplomatic efforts include engaging with the European Union to develop shared principles in the 6G wireless network, and supporting the negotiation process of the UN Cybercrime Convention, which if appropriately ratified, would facilitate international cooperation to combat cybercrime. As Congress considers states' reauthorization, my statement today is intended to help inform the discussion about their cyber diplomacy efforts and is based primarily on the reports that we have issued between September 2020 and January 2024 related to those efforts. States' cyber diplomacy efforts have evolved between 2011 and the present. Between 2011 and 2018, state established the Office of the Coordinator of Cyber Issues to lead global diplomatic engagement and developed an international cyberspace policy strategy document, among other efforts. In January 2019, members of Congress introduced the Cyber Diplomacy Act of 2019, which would have established a new office to lead states' international cyberspace efforts and consolidate a range of cross-cutting cyber issues. Later that year, state notified Congress of its intent to establish a bureau that was more narrowly focused on cybersecurity. In September 2020 and January 2021, we assessed states' efforts to establish the Cyber Bureau. We found that it had not involved other federal agencies that contribute to international cyber diplomacy in the development of its plans and recommended that it do so. We also found that state had not demonstrated that it had used data and evidence to develop its proposal for establishing the Bureau, and therefore lacked assurance that its proposal would effectively set priorities and allocate resources to achieve those goals. We recommended that it do so. In response, state consulted other key federal agencies in its planning and collected data and evidence to inform its approach, which resulted in changes to the final plan for the Bureau. Once the Bureau was established, we examined how it was structured to accomplish its goals. CDP contains 4 units, including the Office of the Coordinator for Digital Freedom, International Information and Communications Policy, International Cyberspace Security, and a Strategies Program and Communications Unit. The new Consolidated Bureau and the appointment of a Senate-confirmed ambassador at large to lead it elevated cyber issues in states' diplomatic engagements. The ambassador engaged with various other countries' senior leaders on advancing cyber goals. As an example, in August 2023, the ambassador headed the U.S. delegation to the G20 Digital Economy Ministerial Meeting, where he highlighted U.S. views and priorities on digital economy topics. In addition, we reported that CDP's status as a bureau provided senior-level support, resources, and involvement that did not exist before. Although states' efforts to promote cyber diplomacy have evolved, challenges remained. Among them, clearly defining CDP's roles and responsibilities across overlapping issue areas with other intra, and inter-agencies that conduct work in cyber diplomacy, especially given the breadth of cyber issues, as well as ensuring that the Bureau had sufficient expertise to carry out its goals. These are among the challenges that the Bureau will still need to effectively navigate to lead cyber diplomacy in the future, especially as state considers streamlining its functions and addressing any new priorities of the administration. Chairman Self, Ranking Member Keating, and members of the subcommittee, this concludes my oral statement. I would be happy to take questions at this time.